was recently asked on Instagram a pretty direct question that I've been asked a lot, especially since I started this channel. A lot of people kind of have the same idea, and that's why don't I own any Mexican or buy to resell any Mexican Vintera guitars or any Mexican guitars in general. I'm going to get right to the point. You know I love Fender Japan. And I think the reason I love Fender Japan so much is the same reason I love PRS so much. I hold those two to a standard higher than almost anybody else. Only from the guitars that myself, have actually really dealt with on an extensive basis. The quality control is always there. I've never had problems with either of those. Used, I've never had little problems with those. There's not little details missed on any of those models that I've gotten from either of those brands or those factories. And I think that's a testament to just, the extra mile they go to. So, putting it bluntly, I would never buy a Vintera when I could get a Japanese model for the same price or even a little bit more. The Japanese ones, to me, I don't care what anybody says. I know they've come a long way, the Vinteras. And I'm not saying they're bad guitars before you get all offended here. I've played all the models of both the Vinteras, the Classic Series. I've played the MIJ Japan Traditionals, the Hybrids, the Originals, the JVs. I've played everything. The Japanese ones are still noticeably better. But what makes them better, you might ask? The specs on paper, they look really comparable depending on the models. There's kind of a Mexican variant and then a Japanese variant here. And they kind of, go after the same exact thing. It's not like the electronics are all bad on either ones. It's not like, there's not different color options available, although Japan does have absolutely more unique and a wider variety of custom colors on their takes of the vintage guitars. But even if you take that out of the equation, the fretwork is noticeably better. Every time the fretwork is better. I think that their choices of wood are better. I think right now, especially if you're in the market and you're looking around, the Japanese ones still come with rosewood. I know it's not a big difference in terms of tone, but as far as just what I like, I don't like Pau Ferro. I like rosewood. So if I can have something that's built a little bit better, they also feel just tighter. I don't know what it is, because again, we're talking about almost identical parts. We're talking about almost identical constructions, almost identical processes to build these guitars. But I can tell you the difference every single time. If I play Vintera and then I play Japanese one right after it, I can tell you which one's which. And with the Mexico stuff, it's a crapshoot as far as the consistency goes as well. I've had those come with horrible nuts. I've played those where the electronics are dead on arrival. And these things do happen. I know that. Not everything is going to make it past quality control 100% of the time. I almost never have it with Japan, though. Fender Japan. Fender Japan, I know what I'm getting. And I think having that confidence, it's kind of why, again, I can buy a PRS sight unseen. I know it's going to be good. I know it is. It's a PRS. Fender Japan, it's the same thing. Fender Mexico, I do not have that confidence. And again, it's the price. Because it's not like you're saving money anymore. And if you we're having a different conversation. But you're not. You used to be able to get one of those used Classic Series for about $500-$600. Much better value. And if you're comparing that versus a Japanese variant that's $1,000 more, sure. Then we're having a different kind of discussion here. But apples to apples right now, there's no chance. There's just absolutely no way that I'm going to buy a Vintera over a Japanese one. And finally, the rarity and resale value. I'm going to put them together. Because they are meant only for the Japanese market and select other countries, the Japanese Fenders here retain their value a whole hell of a lot better, on top of being, in my opinion, better instruments. When you look at the used prices of Vinteras right now, they are up, but I think a lot of that has to do with just the guitar boom and supply and demand. Normally, when you buy a Vintera, you're taking a significant hit on the value of it immediately. Versus with the Japanese one, you buy it used for the same price, it's going to either appreciate, which is more likely than not, depending on the color and the guitar that you get, or at the very least, it's going to stay exactly the same. I rarely see Mexican guitars that fly up in value once they go out of production. I can't think of more than one or two off the top of my head. Maybe a Baja Telecaster. I see those go for a decent amount. But outside of that, no. It's just, they don't. And maybe it's because they are, accessible in this country and there are more of them made. It's just something that I have to consider as somebody that buys and sells guitars. That's important to me, being able to know that an investment, if I have to sit on it or I really like it and I choose to sit on it, is going to hold its value better. I mean, it has to be, taken into account. So bottom line, are the Vinteras bad guitars? Are the made in Mexico guitars bad guitars? Absolutely not. They're really good guitars. The Japanese one's better. To me. Again, this is my opinion. That's how I feel. And somebody asked me directly, so I'm answering as directly as possible. But that's going to be where I'm going to leave you guys. I just wanted to make this kind of to the point. I know it's how in my nature. I tangent sometimes. I ramble. It's just how I am. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Vinteras versus Japanese guitars. If you have experience with both. For me, always going to go Japanese. Leave a like if you like what I'm doing on this channel. Subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you tomorrow for another guitar video. Take care, you guys.